All right. Welcome in to the Hoops Rehab Show. Eric, how you doing, buddy?
Not good, man. Not good at all. What a terrible performance from the Lakers tonight. And I'll just flat out say it, a terrible performance.
We don't normally go on here and just straight bash the Lakers, but to be honest, the lack of energy in crypto tonight, Staples, whatever you want to call it, was terrible by the fans and terrible by the players. Yep. It looked like a team that wanted to go to Houston for Game 5. That's how bad they played tonight.
Game 6. Yeah.
Game 6 on Friday. But yeah, so we're going to get into that. We're going to get into, obviously, Austin Reaves coming back, which, we'll talk about the minutes. We'll talk about the position that he played and kind of when he came in and how that affected the team. We're also going to get into the Magic and Pistons. They extended that series, and then also get into the Raptors and Cavs towards the end of it. If you guys have any comments, drop in the YouTube chat, the X chat, whatever you are on watching this live now. Please hop in the comments, vent your frustration, talk about your team, whether it's Lakers, Raptors, Knicks, whoever it is. Hop in there, let us know. Eric, you ready to get this cracking?
Let's do it.
All right, man. So going into tonight, you're obviously, I said it last time, it's a must win. It's a must win because it's going to be a back-to-back scenario where you're going every other day from here on out, right? And that's not what you want to do with your lead guy right now being 41 years old in his 23rd season. So that's why I thought they would come in with a sense of urgency and really want to take this team down. What did you see, Eric, and why did that not happen?
First off, so 159 and teams that were down 3 in the series. I personally think Lakers are in big trouble. And I'll tell you a few reasons why. I think partly you're seeing things even out a little bit. I don't think Lakers are this, obviously not a juggernaut, but they're not that great of a team, especially without Luka and AR not being probably like fully healthy. Did they obviously come up big their first few games? Absolutely. I'm not going to take that away from them. But I just think things are kind of evening out now. Houston is getting a bit used to playing without Kevin Durant. I think they're starting to hit a little bit more shots. They still didn't shoot tremendous from 3, but they hit 14 of them, which is big. And I think with some of the Laker role players, they are who we thought they were, right? Yeah. And no knock on them, but when role players start to become a little bit more, play more minutes and have a bigger role, it could happen for a game or two, but in a series as it stretches out. Example A, Luke Kennard. He's just been, after the first 2 games, he's been not good. He's not shooting the ball well. He's not kind of doing the things he was doing. And I think we're just seeing kind of the player he is, right? And so he's kind of coming back to the means. Marcus Smart started off the game hot, but he was just really bad the last 3 quarters tonight. And I saw that in Boston a lot too. He had a lot of good games and he won games, but he also lost you some. And he didn't lose the game tonight, but his minutes were ugly. And so I think when you couple that with just Houston is motivated right now. They've been saying all week they're the better team. Yep. They're kind of showing it right now, at least. And I said it and you said it too. Like, I don't even know if you jump on a plane and go to game 6. It's coming back to LA. Game 7 is going to happen. Yeah. It just, you got to hope Lakers don't get exhausted out there in game 6.
Yeah. It's a 3-2 series, right? Lakers.
Yep.
The reality is it should be 3-2 Houston.
Yeah.
The Lakers
very well
got by in game 3, barely and luckily, right?
Yeah.
And a little along the lines of you saying the Lakers role players, they were playing out of position and had to step up. They had those 3 games that just got them going, all that good stuff. The fact of the matter is Lakers don't have their best player, their superstar, one of the best players in the league, and that's Luka. And it's finally catching up in this series, right? Because you take the momentum, you had LeBron playing out of his mind, you had Luke Kennard the first 2 games, 20-something, right? Everybody's playing out of their mind. Now you don't have that. You're seeing a little bit of older LeBron, right? He looks stiff through this game, like he didn't have his legs on him. His threes were short, especially in the fourth quarter. All those threes were pretty much short. He did make one. But in general, this is the concern, right? Because you're relying on a 41-year-old to lead you to the second round right now. My thing right now is that he's not going to get any rest, and you just got rest from Sunday to Wednesday. And you expect him to fly on a plane tonight, or if they leave tonight, and be ready to go, his body be ready to go for game 6 and bring it home. I think that's going to be a tall task. I still think they have a chance. Obviously, it's a game, it's the NBA, but I just think it's making their lives more and more difficult. While OKC, fresh legs, young team, champions are just resting.
Yeah, I mean, they got to be licking their chops, looking at these teams. I mean, they're just not good. I don't want to say good basketball teams, but not competing second round type basketball teams, obviously, because health. But yeah, I mean, such good points. I mean, obviously, when you have such a clunker like tonight, a guy like Luka could really make your team look really good, and he can get you out of that funk just by his presence, his offensive prowess, right? That was my worry. I think Sunday's game, you can kind of treat it as they were up 3-0. They were obviously a tough game, an overtime game a couple of nights before. Houston was not going to go down like that. But Lakers hadn't really had a game like this, where it's like they have a shot, but they are just out of sync. And that's why you have a superstar, right? Because he kind of covers a lot of those holes when there's games like that.
Yep.
And so not having him, it's big, right? And yeah, I mean, of course, I'd have to predict a game 7, but of course, anything could happen in game 6. But you got to think about this now. I hate to look ahead because it is not over. And boy, LeBron James, don't be part of the team that loses a playoff series up 3-0. Don't do it. But if they advance from here on now, they're pretty much going to be playing every other day.
Yeah.
And you're going to be playing OKC. Obviously, they're going to be very fortunate to even get to a series with OKC. Yeah. But if they do, that was my biggest thing. Like, I do think they're in big trouble, and I think Houston has probably really. I'm not going to be super shocked if they win the series now, but for me, winning Game 5 was not just about this series; it was about the next.
Oh, for sure, 100%.
Yeah.
I know you can't always look forward to the next series because you got to win the game in front of you.
Right.
But win the fucking game in front of you.
Yeah.
And then you can go to the second round. And like now you go back to Houston and it's not going to be fun, right? Like it's going to be a grinded out game. This is a team that grinds it out. Houston's defense is going to muck it up every single time. What I was disappointed from the Lakers tonight is how many wide open threes did Houston get? Or where a guy is at least 3-4 feet away trying to close off and the guy is open, right? They're doubling people, guys open. You saw that tremendously over and over tonight. Austin in the first half played really well, but then there's times where, he can stay with his man, whether it's conditioning, right? That's number one. He's been off for a month. Whether it was just not being up to speed in general, the game speed, because now it's playoff intensity. Those are all factors. And to me, let's get into a little bit the Austin Reaves coming back. And I know we talked about this, whether, he's going to come off the bench, and I thought he would, and he did. What surprised me was just the lack of a minute restriction. I'm not saying that he should just play 16 minutes, 18 minutes, 20 minutes, or whatever it may be. I felt that he would be going in a little bit more bouts of like 6 minutes, right? 6 minutes here, another 6 minutes, that's 12 in the first half, another 6 minutes second half, and then kind of play in that 6 to 8 minutes depending on the fourth quarter, right? Equaling somewhere between 24 and 28 minutes. 2 reasons. Conditioning, and you can see it in his shot. He was 4 for 16, right? He got to the basket, which he does really well at. But you got to remember, the way Austin plays is very, very physical and tiring. And he's not in game shape, right? So, yes, he got to the line. He was 12 of 13 from the line. But he was 4 of 16. What does that show you? his legs were not there. So in order to save him from himself is you need to play him in bouts. He doesn't even even if you say he's 100%, you still have to test him in the game. You can't just throw him out in a playoff series and say, hey, let's go play 35, 36 minutes. I thought that was a mistake. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, we knew it was going to be tough, like just throwing a player in the middle of the series, especially one like somebody that's going to have the ball quite a bit. And so, I don't know, it's tough. There's no perfect way. You don't want to just sit him if he's obviously healthy, right? Even though things are going pretty well. Yeah. But it's hey, you got a decision to make as a coach. And if it works out great, it looks like you made had an amazing game plan. And if it doesn't, like it did tonight, it's kind of like, hey, what were you doing, right? Like he was out there playing big minutes, played a lot of the fourth. Obviously, was exhausted. 4 for 16. I mean, I'll chalk it up to just him coming back from injuries, and so I'm not going to get on him like I really want to get on Austin Reaves right now. I'll wait for the offseason for that. But it just some things are left to be desired, and it's not like I mean, he's trying out there, man. He's giving it his all, like that. I don't think that you could ever take away from him. But it just like kind of similar to Joel Embiid coming back. It was a game 4 for Philly. I mean, 2 total different players, but it kind of threw things off a little bit, right? Yeah. And that's why the hand that the Lakers were dealt, it's tough because you want your guys to come back and you need them to do what you want to do, but when when they come back, it's going to be a little choppy, right?
Dicey,
and it was a closeout game, and maybe it would have been better just to play him game 4. Obviously, if he was not feeling great, I'm not going to have him out there, but kind of hindsight's 2020. But looking back, I think game 4 would have been the game. Have him maybe have this kind of clunker type game then, and maybe he would have been a little sharper tonight. Yeah. And hey, maybe he'll be like that in game 6, a little sharper. Never know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it'll be okay. And the other thing is we're going to have to find out how he feels tomorrow. That's the biggest test after playing, especially coming back from injury.
Right.
Are his obliques sore? Right. Yeah. Well, the area where it was partially torn, is that sore? And if it is, you'll see that he's maybe listed as more of a questionable going into Friday, because that's what you want to see. How does his body respond? And he took a lot of shots tonight.
Yeah.
Austin is a player that on defense is going to take a lot of hits, right? He's going to try to get the charge. He's always going to go down on the ground. You saw him at least 3, 4, 5 times getting hit in the back of the head. So he's a physical type of player, right? He's that player that always draws fouls, right? So whether or not he's doing some exaggeration sometimes, right? Just the James Harden tactic, the Luta tactic, the Shea tactic, right? They know how to draw fouls. Now, that's what concerns me kind of going into now you have, it's every other day, right? So how does his body respond tomorrow? And then how is it feeling on Friday? That'll kind of determine his status on Friday, because I'm not going to say it's going to be guaranteed yet, because you got to see how he feels.
Yeah, I would imagine a questionable tag. And then if somehow he doesn't, play or whatever, which is obviously totally speculating, we don't know yet, that would be pretty telling, right? And so hopefully he feels all right. And hopefully he got this kind of this one game in, right? And hopefully it's better, because it needs to be for the Lakers to even probably have a shot of ending it over there. I mean, that crowd's going to be rocking. I wouldn't be surprised if it's similar to like a game 4 status. With kind of the Lakers setting their, thoughts on a Sunday game 7. And I got a feeling that's going to be an early game too. So you're going to go to Houston. It's a late game. And then
like a Sunday 12:30 or something like that.
12:30, right? I would not be shocked, right? And so it's just all bad. I mean, when you got guys like Marcus Smart and LeBron and an injured AR, I mean, this needed to end tonight. Didn't end tonight. It is what it is. I think Lakers have a little bit of a gimmicky type defense, right? They're kind of just using all the resources they have, where they allow 3-point shots. Yeah. And a team that hits them is just going to destroy them. Luckily, Houston is not, but I mean, they made 14. So the percentage, like I said, it wasn't high. I think it was 35%. But when you're hitting 14 threes and they've only scored 99 points, and they had some back-breaking threes too in the corner, it's tough. And so Lakers are just kind of, you can't take away everything, and they've kind of decided to give them that. And obviously Houston just hit just enough tonight, basically, to win it.
Lakers had their chance at the end, right? They cut it to 3.
Yeah.
Reed Shepard made that little slip through and got a little shot that fell in. And LeBron turns it over. Reed Shepard gets a steal, dunk, down by 7. And that was the end of the game, right? So they were right there, had their chance to try to make that run and finish it, but they just couldn't. And I was wrong about LeBron. I thought he didn't make a 3. He didn't. He was over 7, right? Or 6? Over 6.
Over 6. Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, what does that show you? Obviously, tired legs, right? Like he's doing his best. You can't it's hard to blame. I know he's going to get blame because he's LeBron, but it's hard to fault him in this type of game because his body is doing his best to keep the Lakers afloat right now. And he's having to do the work of Luka and the work of AR before this game. And now I think it's catching up to him. And you can tell in this game, in the series, that it's starting to catch up to LeBron. And that was always the concern. Yeah. We talked about this from the whole season. How will LeBron be when it's in the playoffs? And we saw what happened last year where he kind of struggled and he didn't look himself and his body was aching. Then he obviously tore his MCL in the last game, but it didn't matter because they lost. But these are the type of things that concern me moving forward, right? Like, even if we get past this round, we get past the Rockets in Game 6. Obviously, this has never been done. So we assume the Lakers will win. But what does the OKC series look like if we don't have Luka? And we won't have Luka at least until the end of the series, if they're lucky enough to get him back.
Yeah, it's like, I know we always say it, LeBron, you can't blame him, and you can't, but it's like, I mean, how many years are we going to do this, right? And again, it's not like his fault, because I think this year it was set up for him not to need to be that guy. And obviously it fell in his lap that he had to be that guy. And here we are in a tough series, a grinded out series, like we're talking about him being tired and stuff. And that's happened the last 4 or 5 seasons when we get down to the end, right? Whether if it's in the first round against Denver, whether if it's in the Western Finals against Denver, whether if it's last year against Minnesota. And so I think that's why ultimately, again, I'm not going to talk off season yet. That's why there's questions on if we should do this again. And I'm not saying that we should or shouldn't. He does a lot of things that we're not going to be able to kind of make up, right? But it just has to be a thought. And so on that note, he's doing what he can. They're going to need a collective effort, one last collective effort in one of these last 2 games from everyone. And that's the only way they're going to have a shot to win one of these 2 games, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Great point. I just looked at Luke Kennard's stats. He had 1 point, Eric.
I mean, look at the last 3 games. Yeah,
I know we were the last 2 games. His shot's been off, and
only took 4 shots too. So that's another thing.
I think it's accumulation of he's not used to this amount of minutes and this type of playoff intensity, and as that series goes on, is that much harder, right? This is what separates people that are stars in this league from just role players.
Yeah.
And you see it all the time in every team, right? You see, like, you can go the whole regular season. Look at Detroit, 60 wins in the season, right? They get in the playoffs and they're down 3-1 to Orlando, right? Because some of those players just haven't really been there, right? And they don't have that number 2, that number 3 guy really that can get it done. And so it's going to be interesting to see what if you had to put your money on it. Lakers winning Game 6, or are they losing Game 6?
No, I don't. Lakers is going to go to Game 7. I'll give my prediction when that comes, but it would have to be, history would need to be made by a long shot. But Houston's going to be a big favorite Friday night. I guarantee probably 7, 8, 9 points, and I think we know what's coming. And so obviously, hopefully, I'm wrong. But I truly not just a gimmick. I really feel Houston is just they got their groove, and they're gonna. Lakers started the series with winning 3 in a row. Houston will win 3 in a row, and then it'll just come down to one big game on Sunday.
Yeah, and we know that Kevin Durant's been ruled out for Game 6. More than likely, they said he's probably not going to play.
Great for Houston,
but hey, he might be back for Game 7, depending on how it goes. I guess if this scenario happens that they lose Game 6, like you're saying, and say the Lakers win Game 7, which is on Sunday, I guess that gives a little extra time for Luka to get back. So if there's any silver lining, this will push, if they were to win Game 7, it'd push the Game 1 of round 2 probably Tuesday. I don't think they would go until Wednesday, but likely it'd be like Tuesday.
Yeah.
So that gives him a little more time, a little bit more incentive to maybe be able to come back in game, say 4, 5 or something like that in that series. But let's hope, one of our comments here is a reverse sweep. That would be disgusting, and that would be history. So let's hope the Lakers are not on that side of history right now.
Yeah, I mean, it would take something like this. It's going to be a team. Look, we saw, before I get to that, we saw Miami was up 3-0 against Boston. It did go to Game 7, and that was the first time that it actually went to a Game 7 where the team that was down 0-3 had home court, and they lost.
Got it.
I remember I remember what year it was, 04, 05. Portland was down 3-0 to Dallas. It went to a Game 7 and they lost. So it's gone twice. I believe it's gone to a Game 7, maybe, or I think they put this 2 or 3 times. And obviously the team that was up 3-0 won. And so not the conversation I wanted to start having. You could just tell by just our talks, like we're feeling it. Like it's brewing. And what I was getting at is it kind of takes a situation like this. Obviously Denver was not down 3-0, but they're down 3-1.
Sure.
And all of a sudden you're playing like a shell of what Minnesota is. For the Lakers, they're just not near whole. And not that Houston is either, but it just takes this kind of series where it maybe you're playing a team that's kind of not all there, right? Yeah. From a roster standpoint. But still, there's no excuses. If you're up 3-0, you better win the series. You usually better win it in 5. 4 is sometimes tough. But yeah, they didn't do that. Yeah. So pressure is on. Houston has no pressure right now.
Big time pressure. So Game 6 will be Friday. That means we got more time to talk about it and have to deal with the problems of Game 5. All right. So let's move on to the other 2 games in tonight. And that was Detroit holding on and actually winning a game against Orlando Magic. And they force a Game 6, which would go back to Orlando. I think the big thing for me going into this game was that Franz Wagner has a calf strain. And I know they just kind of listed him as day-to-day, but likely in all scenarios, he is out the rest of the series, which is pretty unfortunate, right? Like I highly doubt he's going to play Game 6. And if they went to a Game 7, it just wouldn't be enough time. Usually those things are at least 1 to 2 weeks to kind of take your time to play. And I think that affects them, right?
Yep.
Obviously, Detroit came out like game busters tonight, went up 38 to 26 in the first quarter. Cade had a great game, 45 from Cade. But I will say, Orlando just stuck with it and stayed with them, right? So I'm still not confident that Detroit can get it done. I mean, you're down 3-1. It's already a big hole that you got to win 3 in a row.
Yeah.
But Game 6 in Orlando is going to be the season for the Magic too, right? Because you got to win that game. You don't want to go back to Detroit. So I expect them to give them everything they got. I just don't know if it'll be enough because they don't have one of their guys.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things about even though they're an 8 seed, but Orlando was pretty, at least finally whole for the first time this season, it felt like. And so they had their struggles this season, and they finally had everyone, and they started kind of playing better at the end, and obviously been playing good this series. And when Wagner was ruled out, it's like, oh man, here we go again. Not surprised Detroit won today. I figured they weren't going to go out like that, but I am a little shocked that Orlando really hung in there. It was kind of close, right? And Detroit, all they had to do was win, and it didn't really matter how. But yeah, it all comes down to that game 6. You know how it is. It's when you're up 3-1 or down 3-1, and you're that team that has like the home games, game 5 and 7. It often does come down to that game 6, and Orlando knows it too. And so it's going to be a good one, I'm sure. Orlando's not going to want to have to come back to Detroit. Detroit's going to say, man, if we take it back to Detroit, it's ours.
Yep.
And we'll see kind of what Detroit's made of, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, what are you leaning towards in that series? Do you feel like this Magic can really pull it out, or is it just something like, okay, Detroit's, they got down, now they're like, hey, we got to get our S together and really show everybody why we're the number 1 seed? I think it's more latter. I think it's that. I feel that Detroit's like deep down, they feel the most confident in this series. But what are your thoughts? What do you think? Do you think that Orlando has a real shot to win the series, or is Detroit kind of taking over?
Yeah, I mean, it's so hard for me to just throw out like, hey, you're down 3-1, you're going to win series, because those are usually, usually most of the time, high percentage you lose those, right? Yeah. And so there's a reason why you're down 3-1, and you probably couldn't really play well on the road and win at their place, right? And so here we are, game 6. That being said, because it is a 1-8, because of the injuries to Orlando now, because like Detroit, I'm sure again won't want to go out like that. I think it's going to be another tight one. I kind of want to say I have a feeling that they win it, and I'm not going to just say automatically that they're going to win game 7 either, because there has been some struggles at home for them in the playoffs as of late. But I can see Detroit at least getting 1 in Orlando out of the 3, and obviously that would be game 6.
Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see what happens in game 6. But now we got game 6 there. We got a game 6 in Cleveland and the Raptors, and damn game 6 with the Lakers and Rockets. Yeah. So the last game of the night, or what was the first game really of the night, the Raptors and the Cavs. The Cavs have been struggling, obviously, the last 2 games, and struggling big time on the offensive end, especially with Mitchell and Harden. Scotty Barnes is playing great defense on Donovan Mitchell, at least the last couple games and even into tonight as well. But they were able to pull through, right? Dennis Schroeder really had a big game, hit a 3 late that kind of sparked a little shoving match and everything like that too. So I think they at least got a little bit of passion and are probably going to win this series. I say probably because Brandon Ingram went out early with heel pain, heel soreness. So we don't really know his status for game 6. And I think if they don't have a healthy Brandon Ingram, I don't give him a real shot to kind of win the series at this point. What are your thoughts?
Man, yeah, for a minute there, I was like, Houston, like, don't do it. Houston, sorry, got Houston on my mind. Cleveland, don't do it, because Toronto was up into the second half quite a bit there. Yeah, and I'm like, man, I was like, Toronto and Orlando, please no, we don't want that collision course.
I'm telling you, it's close.
But Cleveland kind of obviously pulled it out, and then with BI being banged up, I do anticipate. So Toronto's been a worthy opponent. They did a little better than we thought. But yes, on Friday that the series will be over, I believe. And Cleveland should. Yeah, okay. I think Cleveland will wrap that up. Yeah.
So they're going to the 6, and they're gonna have a victory there, is what you're saying.
Yes. We'll at least have. I think we'll have at least one schools out session on Friday.
I know. I thought we were gonna have 2 tonight, but that didn't happen.
I was gonna bring this out. Nope.
Oh yeah, you guys have been watching yesterday. We had our first schools out summer vacay session, which was Portland Trailblazers and Phoenix Suns. We sent them off to their vacation destinations, but I guess we won't be doing that until somebody actually loses. But this brings me to one of my points, that the first round in the NBA playoffs has got to be the most chaotic, hectic, like mind changing every single game feeling, right?
Yeah.
I feel like this is the only round where you do this. Second round, I feel like you kind of get the rhythm of these teams and it's like, okay, it's back and forth. Teams are like really battling. In that first round, it's like, oh shit, there's these teams that are up 3-1 that should not be up 3-1, or they're up 3-2 and you don't think they're supposed to be up. And it happens almost every season, right? So, and then it ends up balancing out as the games go on. So we'll see what happens in the next couple of games. See who kind of pulls it out. You know, I'm really looking forward to Denver and Minnesota and really seeing if Minnesota can do anything and everything in Game 6 to win, because you do not want to go to a Game 7 in Denver. I think they'll be in a lot of trouble without Anthony Edwards and obviously Dante DiVincenzo.
Oh yeah. If I mean, we always talk about like this is their Game 7 and all that, and obviously it literally it isn't in a lot of series, but this is their Game 7 for Minnesota. They out of the last 3 games, they just have to have one good game, really good game, and that still might not be good enough, but they have to have one really good game, and it's most likely what happened at home. So that's another 3-1 where I can see that team coming back to win it in Denver.
Sure. Yeah, so that'll be interesting tomorrow. So we'll see what happens there. Eric, you got anything else before we get out of here?
I think that's it, man. Exhausting game. Man, you're right about the ebbs and flows. Even players, right? We're praising players one day, the next day we're obviously disappointed in them. We got Lakers up 3-0. All of a sudden, Houston's like the terrible team. They're so bad. Like, luckily they played them, and now you're like, ooh, Houston's not that bad. They're actually got some young guys and some athleticism, and so. Yep. It's just funny how you said it just swings.
It goes back and forth.
Yeah. Boston and Philly, right? Like,
yeah, I was about to say, we have 3 Game 6s tomorrow, right? And it's, to me, I can't see a clear who's going to win in any of those games right now, because I feel like Atlanta can come out and CJ McCollum could have 30 and Atlanta takes it back to a Game 7 in New York, right? Same thing in Philly. Embiid goes off, and we're back to a Game 7. So we could have a bunch of Game 7s this first round, and we could also just have 3 schools out, summer vacay tomorrow. So shall be interesting, Eric.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, if I'm just going to predict, I think I like the Knicks. I like the Nuggets, so that won't be ending. Boston and Philly is kind of a toss up for me, but I don't know.
You're sending everybody home tomorrow night. That's what
Denver will probably stay afloat, but I'd have to go. I'd have to go with Boston just because of how they've been playing on the road the last few years. So, but we'll see. Got to play the games. I think I'll be rooting for some Game 7s. I mean, it's always fun. They don't want the Lakers to get there, but there's a good chance they will. So, guess you get what you asked for.
Oh, for sure. All right, so that will do it for our show. Obviously, tough loss for the Lakers. Not a place where you want to be. You don't want to be on the other side of history right now, and they're getting closer and closer. But you got to go into a Game 6 and win the damn game. But for the Hoops Rehab team, Eric, we are out. Peace out, y'all. We'll be on soon.
Peace out, everyone.
Peace out, guys.